Hello, geology people. And I say geology people because earth science includes a lot of geology, which what we're studying right now. um, but this is Mr. Ling, and I just wanted to make this quick video about this first assignment, actually, that we have here, the geologic timescale. It's got a little project at the end of it that can be a bit involved. So I just kind of wanted to go through that real quick. But it's an important one because it really gives you the perspective of how long some of these time periods are on this planet, and how little time we have had as humans on the planet as long as it's been around. So let's go in this and take a look at it here. So I am going to just point out a couple of things in the lesson. You're going to be learning about the different epochs and eons and periods and how time is kind of organized in our history. And some of you might be familiar with, Jurassic Park, that movie. Well, the Jurassic period was a period of time when the dinosaurs were on Earth. And if we look at this slide right here, this kind of shows you, this is on page 2 of the lesson, this tab right here, Organization of Geologic Timescale. This kind of shows you how things are laid out just for this Phanerozoic eon. And this eon is basically goes back to, I believe, when life first came about in the Cambrian period here. So what this doesn't tell you, though, is how long ago these things were. Like the Cretaceous period ended about 65 million years ago, the last dinosaur era, or period, I should say. So you're going to learn about all these things. And then in the end, you're going to make a recreation of that with the actual time scale. So you're going to lay it all out. There's a couple of different options, and I wanted to go over option 2 with you here. But you're going to lay it all out. The main way is to lay it all out on a long strip of paper. And you'll have to figure out the scale that you want to use for using centimeters or inches, and what 1 inch or 1 centimeter represents as far as, a million years, 10 million years, however you want to do it. I'm going to show you how to set up the scale for a spreadsheet, and you can do the same thing on a spreadsheet, and it takes less space and easier to turn in too. So the procedure here is you're going to, well, I already kind of told you the first part here. The second part is determining an appropriate scale. And the third part is to plot each era and period. So you're only doing the eras and the periods. If you go back to the beginning of time, which you will, you're going to go back, 4.6 billion years, which is how old the Earth is. You will, I should say, how old the Earth is according to scientific calculations. Before the earliest era that we have on record, there are no eras, which I'll show you here in just a second. So you'll have to use an eon in that case. But there are some reflection questions at the end, so don't forget those. And you can put those reflection questions on your spreadsheet if you use a spreadsheet. So let me show you the spreadsheet method. And see if you can do either way, but like I said, I think this is a little bit easier. So I've created, just using Google Sheets here, I've created a spreadsheet, and there's nothing much on it here yet. You can do the same thing. And what I did here is I put in this cell, I left A and B open because you're going to be putting basically your eras here and your periods here. Okay. But don't label those, and I'll tell you why. Because it's easier if you leave these numbers the way they are. We can't add a 0 here, unfortunately, but it's just easier if you do it this way. And I'll know what they are. I'll know that this A column is your era, this B column is your periods. But I'm just putting it up there so you know which to put where. So this age of the Earth right there, 4.6 billion years, or 4,600,000,000 years. I'm just going to write that Earth, age of Earth. So if I make one row, because we're going to be going down here in rows, right? So each row is a certain amount of time. If I make one row 10 million years, that will give me 460 rows. And I actually used a little formula here. I just took C1 and divided it by C2. You can use the same formula right there. If you want to pause the video, you can see how I did that. And you can do the same division and figure out, well, what if I change this to 5 million years or 2 million years? How many rows would I have? So you can play around with that. 10 million is pretty good, but it's not perfect, and I'll show you why. So let's do an example. Let's take a look at the first era. I've opened up this geologic timescale, and you might want to do the same thing. If you go to geology.com and look up timescale, geologic timescale there, you'll find this. And this is, I think, the best layout because you can see the times very easily here. These numbers are in millions of years, okay? So this is the kind of the grand scale here, the whole thing together. 4.6 billion years. This is that line right down there. And this is what I was talking about. So your eras, right, are here. Your periods are broken out over here because only the Phanerozoic eon, right, the Mesozoic, the Paleozoic, and the Cenozoic eras, those are the only ones that are actually subdivided into periods. The Proterozoic eon and the Archean eon, all these are just broken into eras, okay? And once you get down here to 4 billion years ago, they didn't do anything else before this except this eon here. I'm sorry, yeah, eon, which is the Hadean eon, okay? I would encourage you to look up some of these things and find out what was going on during these. And you can find out more information on geology.com here too about these different eras. All right, so that is kind of how this is all laid out. So you can go in here and say, all right, well, let's start with the Cenozoic era, okay? Because if you start with your spreadsheet with this top line being 0, being current day, basically, and going backwards, going down, that's easiest to lay it out. So Cenozoic starts at year 0, and it goes back 50 million, 60 million, 60, looks about 65 million years ago. 65 million years ago. So if we go back here, I'm just going to throw that over here. 65 million, okay, is a Cenozoic. I'm just kind of keeping that as a reference. So that means if one row is 10,000, right, I'm going to divide this 65 million years into rows of 10,000 each. This will tell you how many rows you get. So I'm going to put a formula here. And I just type in equals sum, and in parentheses, I'm going to divide this cell, right, F1. And divide that by, just use that slash there for divide. Divide that by this, which is your, what each row equals. And that's what, D2. D2. All right, and just hit enter, and there you go. That tells you how many rows you need, which is 6.5 rows. All right, so our first era here, I'm going to erase this, is 6.5. Oh, I can't go 6.5. Well, 10,000 might not be the best. You might want to split this down even into, 10 million. You might want to make each row 5 million, because then you could get those divisions. If something 65 million years or 15 million years, you can get those divisions in there. But if you don't, that's fine. You can just put a little note in here that says, you can even slide it over here and say, actually, this is 6.5, not 7. All right. So you can just take all this here. This is your era. This was the Cenozoic era, right? And we're going to combine all these. This little button here, merge cells, will merge all those cells together. And we can type in there Cenozoic. Spelled out right. Cenozoic. And you can actually take this and turn it. If you want to play around with it, you can actually turn this sideways. You can color it. You can fill it with different colors. We'll make it, I don't know, yellow. And you can do this for all these arrows going down. Okay? So that kind of gives you a basic idea about how to start laying this out. You can change these, the scale of this to each row maybe is 5 million if you wanted to make it a little bit more, more accurate.